Hello and welcome back to another episode of Automotivated. JB, great to have you back.
It's great to be back, and I'm auto motivated to be part of this.
I am too. We were just talking about, it always takes a little bit for our gears to get turning and get this live stream started. But I hope that this is one of my favorite topics, marketing. So I hope that people are going to be able to join this conversation, come in open minded, but also leave with practical things that they want to consider, not only tactics that they want to implement, but also just a firm understanding of why it is so important to prioritize marketing and why marketing matters.
Yeah, and this is important for you fine folks out there to have shops because you got a lot on your mind, but marketing is something that's far from where you're at right now, but you really need to start thinking about it and bring it under your arms and start doing something with it. So Shane and I are going to give you a quick little description of some of the things that you should think about and do. And hopefully, if anything, we start the process for you.
Absolutely. And when we're looking at marketing, you know, a lot of times I always laugh. So my sister grew up, she is a nurse in the medical field. She always laughed because she said, "Oh, marketing, you always had so much fun. You get to play all day." Right? So I always laugh at this, but really what it comes down to with marketing, there are three priorities of why your business needs to market. And it's all going to come back to how your business makes money, how your business grows, but ultimately how you're going to market. So you're going to market to new customers, drive new customers into your business. You're going to market to your existing customers because you want to keep that retention and build those relationships over time. So that way they're worth a lot more to you in the long run. And then ultimately, you want to establish a brand, not only a brand for your business, but a brand within your community, within your industry, and within your audience sector. And if you're looking at how to market to each of those three sectors, that's when people are going to be most powerful. That's when the strategies really help accelerate your business. Oftentimes, what we see is people pigeonhole themselves in just one of those verticals, and then they're working against each other. They're focused too much on one thing, and then something else comes to the wayside.
And I think it's worth repeating too, going over what you just said, the three items. Promote business to your current customers. Ladies and gentlemen, they are your money. They're the
Mm-hmm.
ones that are paying your bills and they're coming back because you have a much better chance of selling them. You have a relationship with them and whatnot. But there's a sad side to it that some of them are going to move away, some are going to move on to the next dimension and things of that sort.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to replace them. So who's next? The new customers. So you always have to be putting the carpet out there for those people that come in because you got to keep your base as constant as possible. And then when it comes to branding, if you're driving a little kid around in the back seat where they're below the window and you drive by a McDonald's and they see the sign, what do they go? McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, you never train them to do that or anything, but they already know the branding of McDonald's. Well, if you could get that for your shop, that would be like outrageously good.
Absolutely. And I think those two things really come together, right? So we're talking about that brand, right? You want to be recognizable. You want people to be able to identify your business. You want people to think a consistent thought with your business too.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want some people saying, "Oh, they're a terrible shop," while other people are singing your praises. You want that consistency all the way across so people understand who you are, what's most important to your business. But I think coming back, and we were harping on this in a few of our Automotivated videos. But your best customers are your current customers. Back to your point, think about the trust that needs to be established and the rapport that needs to be built with any new customer that comes in. If you have customers that come in and have been coming to you for years and years and years, they trust you, they respect your opinions, and they're going to more comfortably put out the money that they need for their vehicle. So there isn't that back and forth sales process. You're not necessarily winning the sale. You already won that relationship. So with that level of respect and with that level of comfort, people will listen to your recommendations because you are looking out for not only their vehicle and their needs, but you're also steering them in the right in direction. You're empowering them to make the best decisions, and they're not there to, you know, hunt for prices like some new customers are.
Hmm.
You know who they are, you're encouraging them to come back, and they're going to be the best support for your business. Your current customers are your best marketing opportunities because they're easier to sell to.
And you just like took it right out of me because I was about to say they're the ones that are easy to sell to, but also they're going to sell your shop to the new
Yes.
people.
Mm-hmm.
And it just goes on and keeps on giving and giving. So I would say, yeah, let's get to it. So,
Absolutely.
how do these shops go about this? What's the first step in the process of starting to do some kind of getting the word out there that I want your cars?
Absolutely. It all starts with a plan and a strategy. When you don't have a plan and a strategy, you're throwing spaghetti in the wall, seeing what sticks. That is the truth of it all, right? You're looking to see you're I think oftentimes without a plan, without a strategy, people are often distracted by the shiny object syndrome. What new social media platforms up? What's the newest thing that people are doing? But if you're really able to build a plan, you're going to want to look at what are your growth goals. Okay, if your growth goals are this, how many new customers do you have to bring in? How many current customers do you need to come back? And start reverse engineering your marketing plan. So that way you're not only allocating budgets appropriately, but you're also able to say, yes, this is working, or no, it's not. Right? I think that's the hardest part because people will go into this, they're trying a bunch of different things. They really didn't have a plan in place. So they don't know what they should be measuring and what they
Hmm.
should be paying attention to, and what they should be looking at to know if it was successful or not. So it's always going to start with a plan. Look at what your business goals are, reverse engineer them until you get to how marketing can support them.
And it sounds kind of complicated, but it isn't. When you sit down and
Mhm.
you're making a plan, what are you doing? You're building individual steps, individual things that you need to do in a certain order to make it happen. So
Mhm.
don't get crazy when you think, oh my God, listen to all that stuff she just said. Get somebody involved
Mhm.
too. So how do people recognize me if I've made the plan? What's my next step?
Next step is really going to be defining your brand. So, again, we talked about how important it is to have an identity. So, what is your brand? What is that message? What is that tone that you want to get out to your audience? It's so important to remain consistent all the way
Mhm.
across the board, because if people see you in one light in this platform and then in a different light on your website, and then the community's talking about you in a completely different with a completely different message, that inconsistency not only confuses people, but it makes people not, as trust, put in as much trust to your business, and you don't have that recognition. People recognize consistency when something is put in front of them so many times that in a consistent manner, that's recognizable. So you're going to want to make sure that your brand really is, you know, clear,
Mhm.
defined, and consistent.
Yeah, like I have my imaginary shop, JB Automotive, and we have a basic logo, but I haven't built my brand yet. So maybe that is something that you and I can work on. And you know
Mhm.
what? We can do another session like this based on that.
Absolutely. And I think you brought up a really good point as well, because a lot of people look at brand simply as a logo. And
Hmm.
while that is a big aspect of what your brand can be, ultimately it goes so much further than that. It's your messaging, it's the experience that people have once they're at your shop. It's what makes your business recognizable in a design element. So while the brand does have a direct relation to some of the designs, the logo, your identity, it doesn't stop there. It really goes beyond to really identify who you are as a business all the way across the board.
Yeah, and that's my realization right now as I was thinking about that and you're describing it. I realized all I have is a logo. So I got to come up with some more stuff. So,
Mhm.
as I said, maybe that's a future episode. We'll see what we can come up. Maybe I'll come up with what I can, and then you can make fun of it when I show everybody.
Maybe we'll do a work session
There you
our
go.
next, and we'll start mocking it up. I think one of the best types of brand identity books that I've ever seen is actually a client I've had the privilege of working with, and it was uh, a great thing that they did was they did this is who we are, this is who we're not. and it was all brands that were direct competition. So
Hmm.
we are McDonald's, but we are not Burger King. Here's why we are. Here's why we're not. We are, coming from our area being in the Philly suburbs, we are Wawa. We are not 7-Eleven, right? And it,
Or
it was
Turkey
just,
Hill.
yeah, or Sheets. Sheets.
All right, we're gonna get in trouble now.
I know. If any of the people that are watching live are in the Philadelphia region, you know this debate front and back. So we would love to hear which side you're on. But I digress. So I mean, there's so many creative ways that you can, as a team, really define who you are. And it might be looking at some of the common names in our society that, all right, we recognize this brand because of this aspect of them. We don't recognize ourselves similar to this brand because of this. So there's a lot of really great things that we could do with a work session. I think that's a good topic for a new
Yeah. I mean, we're really
automotivated.
getting deep into it now. Imagine if we really dig into it. But you know
Exactly.
what? Does a website have anything to do with this? I mean, I know a shop that they put up a website and they haven't touched it in 5 years. So do you think that's
Mhm.
working for them?
So websites are not necessarily an option anymore. Like you need a website. You need real estate for your business. Businesses or your customers need to be able to find you. You need to be able to promote. And I think the biggest misconception of what websites are now, especially in the automotive industry, is they're billboards. Websites are not billboards. They are meant to be living, breathing platforms that are constantly adapting to your business and constantly growing. So, when it comes to a website, it's not just people are able to go to your website, learn a little bit about you, but how is that website generating business for you? Again, the traditional mindset has always been it's a billboard, we have real estate, people can find us. But unless you're looking to really utilize your site as a growth tool, it's not going to give you that much value. So my biggest recommendation, and again, this is a conversation that can go on and on and on, is don't look at your website as a set it and forget it type of tool. You continuously need to be growing your website, adding new service pages, seeing how you're attracting people within your area, optimizing it so your customers in your specific town can find you for certain services. Make it a living, breathing part of your marketing plan.
I mean, think about it, Shannon, with the craziness of COVID, that website could have been your communication tool with your customers on how you're going to handle and how you're going to take and how you're going to keep business going with all the
Mm-hmm.
craziness that was going on, you know? And
Absolutely.
doesn't that actually lead into like social media?
Absolutely. And I think it leads into a few different things. I know not only social media, but email marketing, digital advertising. So advertisements on Google, advertisements on Facebook, advertisements on Instagram, and then also mailers. These are all different tactics and channels to get in front of your audience where they are. So when it comes to social media, most important thing is to be consistent. So just like we were talking about branding, you want to have a consistent message, but you also want to have a consistent communication stream.
Hmm.
Your audience is on social media. People are on social media. I believe the average is roughly around 2.5 hours a day. That actually might be really low. So for all the businesses that are saying, oh, my customers aren't on there, I'm calling BS on that because they are. It is proven. And the new generation, if you're looking to attract millennials and Gen Zs now, that is where they are living. So it's not an option not to have some type of presence. When it comes to emails, this comes back to the whole idea, are we marketing to new customers or are we marketing to current customers? If you have your customers, you should be asking them when they come in to provide an email address, whether you're sending invoices via email, whether you're sending them updates for your business, whatever it may be. But having their email gives you a chance to promote them, to keep them in the loop, to have conversations with them, and continue to incentivize them to come into your shop. And then direct mail. Direct mail has been like the lifeline of the auto repair industry. You know where your customers are willing to drive from. I know in our area, with some of the shops that we have in our local area, customers are willing to drive like 3 to 7 miles to get to their auto repair shop. Now, in more rural areas, they may be looking to drive farther. Cities, it might be even closer than that. But direct mailers, you're able to identify people that are living in your community, get them the information, promote to them. And then finally, advertising. A lot of these things will require dollar amounts to compete with some other people in your industry. So whether that's Google Ads, I think Google Ads are really great for um, service businesses in general, but very much the auto repair industry. If people are looking for new tires, or oil change, or tire rotation, anything like that, if you're able to intercept their searches and be top choice in your area, that is going to provide you value. And again, all of this comes full circle, because oftentimes they're coming back to your website to learn more about you, to see reviews. Reviews are another big thing. That's encourage your customers to leave these reviews, because they're all going to be working to generating more business and consistent business for your team.
Did you say wow? You just
Yeah,
shared
I
so
know.
much information. Thank goodness that this is being recorded and people can watch it over and over again. And I really think it's something that we probably should talk about again in the future and maybe break it down, because I feel like I've been interviewing you, and
I know,
thank
this
goodness you
is a
have the
nice
answers.
turn of the tables.
Yeah.
No,
So
I,
that's
I
very
think it's
cool.
great. And I think this year in particular, it was tough for many businesses, right? So the other aspect of all of this is what's your community play? A lot of times we've seen shops that are sponsoring sports teams or their high school teams or things like that. um,
Charities.
yep. And I think this year we saw a lot of shops that really reinvested in their community with providing you know uh, helping clean different vehicles, and being that moving aspect into supporting their community within the pandemic. Helping out first responders, whether that be with vehicles that they had, whether that be just making sure that their vehicles are cleaned. There's so many different things that you can do to get involved in your community. Like you had said, charities. There's always certain charities, whether they're local or whether they're national, that always hit home for different
Yep.
people. But get creative. What's going on in your community? How are you getting in front of your audience? At the end of the day, a lot of our shop owners are local owners, right? So they're driving on the same roads as their customers. They live in the same communities. So what can you do to be recognizable, and not even be recognizable, but just be a part of that community, so that way people want to do business with you? And I think that's something that I'd love to hear from anybody that's watching currently, or comes back and rewatches this. What are ways that you're getting involved in your community? What are those creative things that you're doing? How are your customers reacting to it? I think that's really the biggest area to set your team apart from your competition.
And you know something, it sounds complicated, but for the fine folks that are watching, all it could be is opening up your building for an open house and having a car show in your parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple. To do some dogs on the grill and whatnot, and voila, you've got yourself maybe people coming by, and then you get connected to that neighborhood, and that's what it's all about.
Yep, we just saw last week a few of our shops gave out roses at their locations for Mother's Day.
Mm.
It's little things like that that again come back to the branding. What's the message that you want to portray to your audience? Rob Russell just wrote in that they do a school career program with the Chamber of Commerce, which is huge, because we know that there is a shortage of technicians and people coming into the industry. So not only are you going in to get recognition in the schools, and with the community, with the parents, but you're also helping to alleviate some of the strain that's coming in, without having as many people coming into the industry. So Rob, I think that's a great
That's
idea.
that is great. You're covering so many bases with that idea, and you
Mhm.
might be able to get yourself some. I can't even talk. Get some future help for yourself.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I've also heard of some shops also doing um, a like a training, right? Like how to change a flat
How to
tire.
change your own oil.
Yep, how to change your own oil,
Hmm.
what you should have for in your car in case you
Yep.
were to get stuck. Those are all great things too. And again, it's really great for new drivers. New drivers aren't always necessarily making the decisions on their vehicles, but that goes a long way with the parents knowing that they're learning from people in their community too. So, Rob, that's great. I think there's so many different ways to get involved with schools, and I think that's a really great. Also, what can you do with the DMVs, right? You have all new people coming in to get their license. Is there anything that you can do with that? So, I mean, the ideas are endless. You know me, I can
Hmm.
sit around here and
Yep.
talk till I'm blue in the face. But I think the biggest thing is, again, start with a plan, understand what your business goals are, translate them into marketing goals, and then just be consistent. Consistency is key in all of this, but if you have a plan, you're going to hold yourself accountable.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being on Automotivated. We've learned so much today, Shayna. I'm really glad to have had this chance to talk to you.
Oh, JB, I love this. This was a fun change of. Usually I'm interviewing you, but this was a lot of fun. So, well, I think we have a few new topics that we're going to have to get
Agreed.
scheduled on the books, maybe some work sessions. But again, anybody on Facebook, any of our friends and our customers, let us know some of the topics that you want to hear. I think this marketing one was a really great one, but let us know what's also on your mind. What are some of the things that you're struggling with in your shops? What are some of the conversations that you're having in your shops? We want to know, and we'll be able to continue the conversation. So until next time, JB, it's always a pleasure. I know I'm pretty automotivated after this discussion. Are you?
I am auto motivated now.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye bye.